All right, everyone, what is up? We've been live on Instagram just now, and now we are live on YouTube. So excited to have you all and cannot wait. So let's talk about what's been going on. First things first, before we do anything else, you know that we have to show off that old intro. It will be changing very soon. I'm actually in the working stages of it right now. Let's go.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
So a lot just happened in King in Black #4, but before we do anything, I need to say one quick thing. Make sure that you subscribe to us. We are going to be hitting that 400 subscriber mark very, very soon, and with that comes a giveaway. So with that giveaway, I'm going to be putting 10 random books in this amazing street level LA Hero box. You never know what might be included in here. I might take Legion of Superheroes and throw it in. I could even take World War Hulks and toss that in there. I might even take a Superman book, like Superman 381, and put that in there. You never know. These could stay in there. They might not. It's a mystery, hence the reason mystery box. But with all that being said, let's get into talking about what just happened in all of these amazing books that came out this week. We've been following King of Black for quite some time here at Comics Lounge, but we've also been following this Thor book for quite some time. So Thor has been an amazing run by Donny Cates, Nick Klein, and Matt Wilson. Not to mention, it's had some really awesome cover work. This cover done by, I'm not quite sure. If you know, let me know in the comments, but this is a absolutely beautiful cover. I love the variant edition Thor 12. Had to pick this up when I was at my LCS the other day. An absolute beautiful cover. Now, the interesting part is we actually haven't seen Thor in this book since, I want to say, Thor 10. And this is Prey Part 4. So it's been a little while since we've seen anything Thor besides in King of Black #3. It's going to be interesting. With all that being said, and again, there will be spoilers in this. But real quick, let me just remind you, you are live with the Comics Lounge. We are talking Thor Prey Part 4, issue #12, legacy number 738. And pretty much what's going on in this book is we're seeing the return of Donald Blake. And for those of you who don't know, Donald Blake was basically Thor when he was on Earth. And we kind of find out that whenever Thor isn't Donald Blake just goes into this separate reality. And he was basically treated as a way for Odin to teach Thor compassion, empathy, and just downright understanding of what is going on in the real world. And basically, yes, you're a god, but you also need to know what is happening and who is kind of running the show in a way. And sorry, that's wrong. Not who's running the show. You need to know what it's like to be human. You need to understand humans and all of their worth, because that's just, it is what it is. Now, with all that being said, there's a lot that goes on in this issue. So obviously on the cover, we've got Thor versus Jane. We saw Jane in the last issue as well. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which side to put this on. We saw Jane in that last issue, and it's been very interesting to say the least, her role in this. We obviously see that she goes absolute full Valkyrie in this issue, and she actually, it's kind of interesting because she doesn't actually fight Donald Blake in this issue. That's one of those things that kind of is interesting about everything that ends up happening in these comics is sometimes you'll see the cover not represent what's going on inside. And I mean, this is the main cover. Obviously, for other issues like the King in Black spoiler variant, we see a lot of what's going on. I'll get into that later. It's interesting to see that in this issue, Jane actually kind of takes a different role. She does see Donald Blake. She does turn into Valkyrie in front of him, but it's interesting. So to catch you guys up, if you don't know Thor that well, just like I don't know Thor that well, I did a lot of research on this to kind of make sure I understood everything that was kind of going on in this book. Jane Foster and Donald Blake had a different relationship. And you could say that they were even more than friends at one point. That is what it is. And we kind of saw that in issue 11 where Donald Blake is taking out all of the Thors that he possibly can and stealing their Odin Force. And that's kind of his goal right now. And his goal is to get to the source of the Odin Force as well. And we see him kind of talking about that at the beginning of all of this. And at the end, there's actually a really big reveal that we have not seen in quite some time. But the interesting thing about all of this is that Thor, or Donald Blake and Jane had this more than friends relationship. That's obviously not the case anymore. They had that awkward encounter at the dinner, and Jane just could feel and sense that something was not right, that something snapped. And we know this to be the case. We know that's the truth. And we know that eventually we're going to get a showdown between Jane and Donald. So in Thor 12, we see Jane kind of taking all these pieces that she learned and taking them from over here, and basically putting them all together to make this picture. And we see it at the beginning of all this, Donald's actually fighting and getting pretty defeated by Lockjaw and Throg. For those of you who don't know, Throg is Frog Thor, and Lockjaw is kind of his dog. To put it in the simplest terms possible, Lockjaw is the Robin to Throg's Batman. That's just what it is, and that's the way that it's kind of portrayed in this issue. Is Throg calls on him and talks to him, and Throg is the frog version of Thor. So at one point, Donald Blake actually eats Throg in this issue, and about 3 panels later, you see, well, I always pronounce this wrong, Thor's hammer shoot out of Donald Blake's mouth and just downright annihilates him. And Throg comes shooting out the next panel, and you see all of this kind of happen. And of course, Donald Blake is pissed. He is beyond upset. The artwork in this book is just absolutely beautiful. And for those of you who don't know, if you don't follow Thor at all, you got Donald Blake right here and Throg right there. And Lockjaw is seen in this panel. So again, the dog that kind of does all of Throg's manhandling in this issue. So then we kind of jump forward and jump to New York City, where Jane is trying to get a hold of Tony Stark. And Tony Stark, the answering machine, which is kind of funny, says this is Iron Man. However, due to some big blonde jerk. I no longer use this number, but hey, nice try anyway. So Jane's trying to get a hold of him to kind of figure out everything. And that's when she runs into Lockjaw and Throg. And then we get something totally different. We get something that I was not personally expecting to see in this, but it makes absolute total sense once you look back at the comics when this character was fighting Loki and actually stole the Odin Force from Loki. And this character actually says Donald Blake tossed me around like I was, as if I were a child. You don't understand what he's become. He's been hunting those with Odin magic, slaughtering and draining them for the power they wield. And this character, again, spoilers ahead, is none other than the good doctor himself, the OG Doctor Strange. So pretty much Donald Blake finds out that Doctor Strange's magic is also kind of at the mercy of all of this, and realizing, wow, his magic is very close to the Odin Force magic. I can steal that as well. And pretty much at the end of all of this, I'm going to jump back. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but this is a major spoiler. So if you haven't read the book and you're going to look away real quick, plug your ears, do what you got to do, la, 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 whatever, because major spoilers. We finally get to see where a certain character has been hanging out, and it's pretty much been inside a biker bar, off-Earth alien biker bar. And that is none other than Odin. It's time you cleaned up your mess, Odin. So clearly, Jane is kind of blaming Odin for all of this. And obviously, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of interestingness. And there's a huge dilemma. So if you focus on the story arc, Blake's been trapped for years, finally realizing that he's in a fake world. And we haven't really seen too much character development in that sense. It's been kind of interesting to say the least. It's sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that I'm saying the right thing. So I'm looking at my notes. So like I said, he's mentally cracked, and the structure of each issue has been the same for months now. Blake fights a new character. Blake defeats that new character. And now we get a cliffhanger with a brand new cliffhanger for him to fight next time. The darkness that once was kind of the interestingness of this story arc is it's hard to say. Cates' writing has kind of echoed the similar ideas, and Thor 12 just, in my opinion, explodes with the creativity that we want to see this kind of go in the direction of. Some people have said that it's kind of lost its purpose, but I think that he's setting up for something way, way bigger with Donald Blake. We've never really gotten to see Donald Blake in a long time, and that's kind of the interesting portion of all of this is we want to see something happen. We need to see a good ending to all of this, because Thor 12 is almost at the end of this Prey story arc. And if we don't have something big and major kind of happen and Odin coming back, it's going to kind of fall flat on its face the same way that Hammerfall did. I'm really hoping that it doesn't fall flat on its face, because I want this Donald Blake story to be something that kind of echoes further. I want there to be something so much bigger. I definitely think that if you haven't started reading this Thor run, the Black Winter, Hammerfall, Prey run, it's time to get involved in this. It's time to see what it's all about. You're not going to be able to find many of these issues for cheap, I will say that, but you can definitely get caught up in the trades and kind of get there that quickly. I think there's 2 trades out right now. The first 6 books and the next, actually there might not be a trade because Hammerfall was only 2 issues. So there's probably only the first trade out right now. And then obviously after 12, they might do another trade, or they'll wait for Prey to finish and then do an 8-issue trade paperback. Not quite sure yet, so don't quote me on that. As always, if you have just joined us, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you check out our channel, leave a comment below. Tomorrow we'll be announcing our 400 subscriber giveaway, and that's the video you'll want to comment on to get entered. We will be talking about what will be going in this box. And I've already put 3 comics in there, so if you missed it, after this, go back and check it out. Those comics might stay in there, or I might take them out. You never know. It's a mystery to you. It's a mystery to me. I don't know what books I'm going to give away yet, but at the same time, it's something that I want to say thank you. So once again, I want to give a quick shout out to all those that have helped me get this started. Mark from Legion of Comics, thank you very much. Ryan, you have done awesome. I can't pronounce your Instagram name, but guys, just scroll up to the top of the live chat. You'll see his name. Make sure you go follow him on Instagram and subscribe to him. He's been a major help, and I also want to give him a shout out because Texas is kind of dealing with some stuff right now that usually don't get snow, and a lot of stuff happened. He had about 1/8 of an inch of water because of pipes bursting and just horribleness of this cold of weather down there, which usually isn't seen in southern Texas. So definitely make sure that you give him a quick little shout out on Instagram. Ryan New X Guy, I think it's NUEXGUY. Go check him out. He is definitely doing a lot better now. I'm very happy. We actually had a kind of a cool conversation because I actually had a lot of water in my basement a couple years ago when we had foundation issues. We deal with snow all the time up here in Western New York. I can actually show you how much snow is currently sitting on the window outside of where I do all of this. So I can kind of see. Oops, sorry, my finger's in the way. All that stuff is on top of there and completely sunk that window well. But that right there is snow. And the light is pretty much shining off of it completely. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Spec fan. But anyways, let's get back into it. Let's talk about Planet of the Symbiotes 2. So this was actually a very interesting book for me. It doesn't really follow Planet of the Symbiotes 1. It's one of those books where it's not a direct follow-up. So this kind of ends with Plague and breaking out of Ravencroft, and there's something very interesting that ends up happening there. I'm not going to get into that here, but again, it's one of those things that if you did not read it, go back and read it or check out our video on it because it is absolutely phenomenal. As a lot of you know, we are going to be giving away the very first time we see Plague before he is Plague, when he was Cortland Cassidy in Ruins of Ravencroft Carnage at a 9.6. This is going to be our 500 subscriber giveaway. So make sure you hit that lovely, lovely subscribe button if you have not already. Subscribe to the channel and you will be entered in that giveaway when we hit that 500 subscriber mark and that video drops. No, none of those slabs are for sale. Don't ask me. I've had a few people. It's a no. With all that being said, let's get into Planet of the Symbiotes #2. So here is the variant edition, and it's kind of a nice little callback to, and I don't want to pronounce this wrong, but I know I'm probably going to. It's a nice little callback to American Kaiju. Caillou? I don't know. It's one of those that are really awesome. I absolutely loved reading this book. It was definitely an interesting book, to say the least. And like I said, it doesn't really follow Planet of the Symbiotes #1. It's one of those ones that you kind of got to get into because there's a lot going on. And it's, again, just like Planet of the Symbiotes #1, a two-parter. So when I say that, what I truly mean isn't that it's two different parts. It's two things that don't really line up. So this is the first cover. You've got American Kaiju on the cover. And it's really a fun, interesting read. You kind of go through his background in a way. I was kind of interested, but at the same time, didn't really like the format of this book. And it's kind of fun to get into books like this because we see how they're going to possibly play into everything else going on. So this wasn't a Donny Cates book, I will say that much. It's not one of those ones that really tie into what's going on. Cray, it's okay that you're late. No big deal. So we see American Kaiju kind of fighting the symbiote dragons right off the bat. And every time, the Americanization of this character right here is very interesting. So for those of you who don't know, American Kaiju is actually a character that was Corporal Todd Ziller. And he put his life on the line for our country and then became a test subject. Basically, someone who fought to become the, or not fought, sorry, someone who decided to become the next super soldier. What is up, Cameron? Good to see you. Planet of the Symbiotes was pretty dope, though. I don't know a whole lot about American Kaiju, but I like it. I don't know a whole lot about him either. But again, it was interesting. The only thing that disappointed me about this is they didn't continue the play storyline that I wish that they would have kind of went with. And it's one of those things where you're kind of like, I really want you to talk about this, but are you going to come back to that? I don't know. So I'm really worried, but at the same time, I'm like, I really like what you did with it. So it's just one of those things where I want to make sure that I'm feeling what everyone is saying about, or I'm feeling what is being talked about in the book, but at the same time, I want to make sure that they kind of wrap up this plague storyline as well. And there was another storyline at the beginning of Planet of the Symbiotes #1. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I want to make sure they wrap up that storyline too. So it's difficult because you want to see the continuation of storyline that you really liked. Cray, I'm glad you agree with me. I always like when people agree with me, but it is what it is. If you don't agree with me, that's fine too. So American Kaiju, getting back into that, they used elements ranging from gamma radiation to pin particles to Kurt Connor's lizard formula, and the serum gave Todd the ability to transform into a reptile, like, as Marvel puts it, behemoth. He protects the land of the free and the home of the brave as American Kaiju. The cool part about this book is they actually have two separate parts, which means that there's actually two different writers. So the American Kaiju part is written by Mark Burden. And the Hornet part, which I'll get into in a second, is written by Jeffrey Thorne. So Jeffrey Thorne does a phenomenal job of this. I love the second part of this book. And it's also very interesting the way that they move from the kaiju part to the next part. So it's literally just 2 separate pages. It starts over here with American Kaiju. And then on the very next page, you have Hobie, and he's talking and just trying to basically say, okay, I'm stopping. I'm done with this. I'm not going to be Prowler anymore. I'm going to appease you. I'm going to please you. I'm not going to be the Prowler. And that lasts for all of 5 seconds. So Cameron, thank you. Definitely agree. I wish they would have done more. I think it was just meant to be a little short. That doesn't really have much of an effect. I'm hoping they come back to Plague, though. Dude, I would love to see more Plague. Like I said, I'm giving away the cameo appearance, or not the cameo appearance, the first appearance of Plague as Cortland Cassidy for my 500 subscriber giveaway. So I'm hoping that comes back. And you know what? You just convinced me. Planet of the Symbiotes issue number 1 is going in our 400 subscriber giveaway box, because it truly is an amazing comic. It's not some modern key. It's not some gorgeous, beautiful cover. It's not something that is going to be worth a ton of money someday, but it's a really cool book. I really want to put it in someone else's hands so that they can enjoy it and read it. And I'm going to put that in the box as well. Don't let me forget it. With all that being said, it's really cool because they actually kind of get into this whole Prowler idea, and it starts raining symbiotes. So I definitely want to say that you're right. I think that it's going to be a bunch of mini one-shots in 3 books. So it's going to be 6 mini one-shots over the course of 3 books. I think that's the best way to play this. I think that's a really awesome, interesting way to do it. And genuinely, I think that would be the coolest way for them to kind of tell some mini stories of what's happening during all of this, because they need to get that story out there. Genuinely, I think that's probably the coolest way to do it. And we get this kind of argument between Prowler and this man who's basically saying, why are you going to talk to me like that? And as they're talking, Symbiote Dragon comes through the background, crashing in, and this jerk, or J.A., however you want to say it, ends up becoming a symbiote. And Hobie says, now listen, you need to get down to the physical plant. It will be in the basement, fuses, junction boxes. They won't want to go down there with all these moving targets around. If you're quiet, they won't come looking for you. For us, you mean for us? And he basically says, you told me I wasn't going to suit up as the Prowler again. Let's see, page 1, 2, 3, 4 happen. 4 pages happen. I'm not going to suit up as the Prowler anymore. 4 pages later, I'm going to have to suit up as Prowler. It is what it is. Spider-Man is probably behind this. He and I are cool now. I'm no longer fighting him. Let's do it. So he suits up as the Prowler and then immediately goes to find his other suit. Yes, Prowler has another suit because he is no longer the Prowler. So Hobie Brown's apartment on 125th Street, we jump to there, and basically Mindy calls him and says, Hobie, you're alive. He goes, yup, I'm at the apartment, blah, blah, blah. Whatever this mess is, I know Spidey's in the middle of it. And he takes out this brand new suit, one that's either been in testing phases or has never been used before. And we jump to the end of this book and we get an all new hero known as Hornet. Not the Hornet, not the Green Hornet, nothing like that. It's nothing that we've seen before from what I know. But he basically says, and the Hornet's going to help him clean it up. So I'm done fighting against Spider-Man. Now I'm going to be Spider-Man's helper. So this is why I'm kind of wondering, and Kim, help me out here to understand your thoughts on this, because it kind of seems like each of these different levels of Planet of the Symbiotes is going to kind of play it later on. Plague seems like he's going to come back. It was a fun book overall. Definitely, I would totally agree with that statement. It was very interesting to read. And honestly, if you have not read Planet of the Symbiotes #1, if you have not read Planet of the Symbiotes #2, go pick them up. Put Planet of the Symbiotes #3 on your poll list, because it's going to be worth it. Like I said, it might not be a $1,000 book someday, but it will be something that is just so cool, so interesting. And I mean, we're getting a lot of very new characters. Like I said, I'm not sure how long American Kaiju's been around, but we literally just saw the Prowler become the Hornet. We literally just saw in Planet of the Symbiotes issue #1, Cortland Cassidy became Plague. I'm like, it's going to be very interesting, to say the least, where they take these characters from here on out. Now, probably the most anticipated book, and some book I actually have some spec on, King in Black, issue #4. Before I get into that, we're going to take a quick break. And once again, if you have not already, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And you are watching The Comics Lounge.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
It was definitely a shame that Dazzler wasn't the God of Light. I will agree with that. But at the same time, I'm really happy with what they did with the God of Light. But at the same, like, I have mixed feelings about it. I'm talking like my Italian background, which I found was not big as I thought it was. I really like this cover because, as I said with this cover, we really don't see them fight each other. We see basically Doctor Strange tell her, no, you're not going to go after her or after him. In this cover, we see a lot going on. So we see all in the background. We see all the symbiotes around him in the hive. We're actually looking at the hive mind right now, and we see all the X-Men who were either trapped or using this as a way to get out. So without further ado, I got to talk about this. Reading this book was so hype. Professor Comics, thank you for joining us. It's awesome to have you. Cameron Hamilton, I'm not sure if you're still watching, but it's awesome to have you today. And Cray Cray for Comics, it is awesome for you to be on right now. We don't have too many live viewers, but it's awesome to even have a few of you guys live with us. And I hope that if you are not watching, that you leave a non-live comment. Let me know what you thought of King in Black issue #4. So let's dive straight into it. And I absolutely love this book. It's one of those ones where it's interesting, to say the least. It's kind of cool. Sorry I'm late. My class just ended. All good, dude. No worries. And still here. King in Black was so good. Yes, it was. Honestly, it is absolutely amazing to be reading this book and to be talking about this book with you guys, because it's one of those books that I was very hyped for. I was actually really shocked. I was a little upset. And I know some people were a little pissed off. I'll just say that right off the bat. Before I get into anything, I will say that there are massive spoilers ahead. If you have not read this book, I will be saying who the God of Light is, what the God of Light is, and where it all kind of came from and started. There is a lot of origin in this book. There is a lot of callbacks in this book, and there's a lot of kind of cool, interesting facts in this book. So we end up finding out that Dylan, after King in Black #3, is in the hive mind. And Null is talking to him, and then someone starts talking to Dylan, and he's kind of like, who the F are you? What are you talking about? Why are you talking to me? And we end up finding out that that person is none other than Jean freaking Grey, the Phoenix. So now we've got the Phoenix involved, and I was curious as to why they put her on the cover. We haven't really seen much of her. We know Storm, Cyclops, Wolverine, they were all kind of taken over by that symbiote fluid. They've all been symbiotes for quite some time now. And in this book, we kind of get to see what is going on. So within this book, you've got Null talking and basically saying, you're special to me, Dylan. And he calls him his son. So, I mean, right off the bat, that's interesting of itself. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, hold on a second. You're going to call this kid your son when just because of your relationship to him. Weird, dude. But you're the god of the abyss, blah, blah, blah. The other thing that we still see Null sporting is his new jaw. That's one of those cool things that I absolutely love about the way that Ryan Stegman draws, the way that Donny Cates writes, is they keep a lot of the stuff from before and continue it. They don't kind of just change those little details that make it what the book was. If something happens in issue 3, we're going to follow up in issue 4. That's one of the things I loved about Venom 3 and Venom 4. And if you haven't read those and you don't want to pay $500 just to read a copy, I would highly suggest going to your LCS and buying Null. Within this book is Venom 3, 4, and there's like 2 or 3 other books. It's basically like a trade paperback for the cost of, I think it's $7, maybe 8. If your local comic shop like mine does 20% off all new books, you get it for like $6 or $7. And with all that being said, we kind of then see all of this play out. You still see that new jaw that Thor knocked off. You see him talking to Dylan, and Dylan basically, after all of this and being told by Jean Grey, listen to me, you can tap into his powers with yours. You can use him as an antenna to control. And he kind of says, shut up. And you see Null trying to take his hand, and Dylan actually reaches out to Null, grabs his hand, and says, you killed my dad. And Dylan goes off. Dylan goes full BA son of Venom, just downright amazing. Cameron, you can back me up on this. The graphics in this book are phenomenal. The storyline of this book is phenomenal. And honestly, for everyone who said that Thor 12 just doesn't have it, I think Thor 12 doesn't have it because it doesn't have the buildup that other books can have after such a long amount of time. And basically what I mean by that is there's so much going into King in Black. We're talking 33 issues of them building up to this, 3 issues before this, building up to even King in Black 4, and just so much more. Dude, Stegman is damn good. I mean, it's you can't put it any other way. He is a phenomenal artist. It's amazing. He can show the fury of all this, and Jean Grey in the background saying, yes, you're doing it. You're freeing them. I know it hurts. Keep going. Keep pushing. Just a few more to go. We only get one shot at this. Fire and sound don't hurt these symbiotes, but I have a plan. Will need lightning. So this is taking Jean a lot of power. And I know this is one of those things that we kind of see people talking about. It's like, did she really just pass out in 5 minutes again? And that's kind of where it goes next. And we also see Doctor Strange get the staff that Black Cat wielded in Black Cat issue 2. And I mean, again, the artistry and the ominousness and the badassery is just all there. It's absolutely amazing. It is so fun to read this book. Seeing Doctor Strange as this whole new looking character is just amazing. He looks so much more powerful than I've ever seen him in any comics. It's beyond words to even describe what's happening in this book. Then you see pretty much all of the power. Jean Grey says, Namor, you're up. So we get a little callback to Namor. We get a callback to the extremists, Celestials, and Spider-Man's getting out of the way. Jean says, we're clear. Storm, Thor, and Dylan just downright annihilates Null, but Null comes back. It seems like it's just so hard. So he does take new form in Doctor Strange vs. Loki storyline, but this is actually something so new that I've not seen before. I have that storyline, and this is what I love, Professor Comics, is this cover. The tattoo variants of these books have just been fire. They are absolutely amazing. This one obviously features Doctor Strange on it with the all-black Necro Sword, the skull on top. It's so cool to see. And yes, we kind of see little glimpses of everything that's going on. We see all these interesting happenings with everything that goes on in these stories, but it's just, there's so much more to be said about this that I need to go back and reread it. I need to go back and kind of look into what's going on, look into everything. And Jean Grey just kind of walks in, BA as can be, and says, let's see what makes you bleed. And I mean, again, the artwork here is absolutely beautiful. Stegman nails it every single time. And Null is quaking in his boots, and Jean Grey gets into his mind. So this is where we kind of see all the backstory of what's happening. I haven't read the Strange vs. Loki story, but I really want to. Dude, it is phenomenal. What is up, Stronghold Collectibles? I almost said comics. Stronghold Collectibles. Pleasure to have you. Dude, it was absolutely epic. It was phenomenal to read. Professor, I would definitely suggest going back and rereading it. I could pull it out right now. It's sitting in those comics back there, I want to say, behind my Thor slab. But genuinely, we see so much happening. So basically, Jean shows us once again the creation of Null, and this is what she says. Cold, I can't find anything. I can't find anything that can hurt him. He forged the darkness, bent it to his will. He's beaten everything. Oh God, there's nothing we can. Wait. So wait, and then you see this little ball of light with a few balls of light around it. And this is what is known to be Null's feet, Null's opposite. And she continues, there is a reaction, an opposite. Null, he's the god of the abyss, but he is not the darkness. It existed long before him, and with darkness there is light. It rose up against him. It bonded itself with warriors to rage against him. The light, it was sentient, alive. It gave this army unimaginable power, but it wasn't enough. The light was then overwhelmed by darkness, stretched too thin, and so it became something new. So this light actually takes on its own embodiment. It tries to use an army, but it realizes as soon as if I spread myself in a way that I'm over here, 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 and here. It's kind of, I can't remember what I was watching or reading recently. It's kind of like, I'm trying to think of the character from Flash who basically spreads himself so thin that he can only use bits and pieces of the Speed Force at a time. But anyways, so, bro, I got a feeling about darkness, and I'm not sure if I heard this yet, but what if the creator of Null was actually black? Whoa. Interesting. Let's hold on to that and get back to that, Cameron. You literally just sent chills up my spine. That's craziness, that darkness, that Black Winter. That would be super cool. And knowing Kate's, that is a possibility. So we kind of get back into this. As I was saying, there's a Flash character who stretches himself so thin, stretches the Speed Force so thin. It's something that just we see a lot in comics when someone has this ultimate power. And that's when this God of Light takes over one being, and Jean Grey says it would choose a single being in all of the universe, bond them, make them better. So we know that symbiotes make them worse. We know that symbiotes kind of feed on the worst parts of everything. Stronghold collectibles. Why do you think I have not gotten rid of this? I mean, honestly, I was thinking about buying it and selling it just because I wasn't sure if I slabbed it, and I was kind of like, do I want to get rid of it? But I think it is a huge mistake to forget about Black Winter. I think this is something that Donny Cates introduced at just the right time. This came out in June of 2020. The fact that this came out right before the release of Null coming to Earth, I don't think is an issue. Sorry. I don't think is a coincidence. I think it is very special and very interesting on Null's part that, or on Donny Cates' part, that Null was slated to come out right after Black Winter came out. Right after we get this glimpse of who and what the Black Winter is, Null comes to Earth. I don't think that was done on accident. I don't think Null is done. And I really don't think that we're ever going to see the last of Null, and I don't think we're going to see the last of Black Winter in those issues too. The fact that something as strong as Black Winter just became a snowflake. Yes, it is 2021, and we're kind of in the year and the decade of the snowflakes, but I don't go over with that. I think Donny Cates introduced and created a story arc that introduced a brand new character that no one has ever seen before, a Galactus level character that's far beyond even what Galactus was. And to kind of get all of that and become a devourer of universes, that's a wasted idea and a wasted character if he's only in, realistically, 2 issues. Some could argue 3. Honestly, it's, to say the least, I don't think we're going to see the last of Black Winter for quite some time. And Stronghold Collectibles, I will be holding onto that book. It's actually one of my favorite slabs besides that Nova. Nova is a huge, I'm a huge fan of Nova. I think that there's a lot to be said for him and a lot to be done with him. I don't think that the MCU is going to take him lightly. I think that they're going to do a lot with him. I made sure to pick up that book as soon as I saw that he was supposed to be in Infinity War. That's an 8.0. I wish I could get a better copy of that, but it is what it is. He gave Galactus powers, and he supposedly devoured the whole DC universe, I'm pretty sure. I think DC's devoured themselves a couple times over. They don't really know how to keep a universe for more than 10 years. Right, Mark? if you're watching. They like to rewrite stuff every now and again. New 52 started when? And now they've got Future State? I don't know. But anyways, let's get back into the God of Light, find out who or what this actually is. So Jean Grey, after finding all this out, basically faints. And obviously, it's tough to beat Jean. She has this unlimited, amazing power with the Phoenix Force. But at the same time, she can only do so much. And I feel that with everything that Null is, being a god, being the Lord of the Abyss, it just drained her. So yes, it is kind of like, damn, that was quick. But also, what else do you want her to do in this issue? If she doesn't faint, she then becomes something bigger than the issue itself. And as a writer, you gotta use the character as much as you need that character. I think that, and Nova's a whole core like Green Lanterns, which means potential for many, many, even a TV show. Totally true. Stronghold Collectibles. I completely agree. I just love Nova, Richard Rider Nova. It's a really cool comic. I love the current Guardians of the Galaxy run is one I'm reading right now ever since issue 8 or 9. I love that Nova is part of the Guardians. He's such a cool character to say the least. And if you look right here, I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see that. I actually included him on my stand that I created with him and Star-Lord and Gamora. So, I mean, he's one of those heroes that's really cool. He's a really awesome cosmic hero. So this is the part that a lot of people, including myself, kind of were upset about. And yes, it makes sense. I don't think that they truly mean symbiote as a symbiote like Venom symbiote. I think they mean as kind of a being that lives within others, which is the definition of symbiote. And it makes a little bit of sense if you think of it that way. Again, spoilers ahead. If you have not already, make sure that you go smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. And we are the Comics Lounge. Thank you for lounging with us today. It's been absolutely awesome that we get to lounge with so many of you. And you guys are live with the Comics Lounge talking about King in Black #4. And we're just kind of getting to that point where Jean Grey faints and she senses the screaming and that something's trying to get in, but it's trapped. I can hear it. And Silver Surfer says, Jean, worry not. And again, the artwork in this is beautiful. It's phenomenal artwork. You've got the world wrapped in a symbiote casing. And Silver Surfer just takes the God of Light and starts to break through the symbiote fluid. And you see Null screaming, no. And it's just like, he just starts smashing through these dragons. And if you want to see that close up, because we really don't, we see it from a huge far away vantage point with Null in the foreground. Look at this. This is the King in Black spoiler variant for issue #4. Silver Surfer with the God of Light is literally just smashing through these symbiote dragons and destroying them, annihilating them one by one. And I didn't know what this cover was going to look like when I bought it. It's a spoiler variant. It's one of those ones where they don't really tell you much about it until you pick it up, until after it's come out, just because they don't want to give anything away. This is just amazing. It's such a cool variant. It's one that I had to add to my personal collection, just like those tattoo variants, because I love tattoos. They're really cool. I agree, Cameron. I literally think it's just the literal definition of symbiote. I don't think it's a problem. I know that some people are like, why do we got to call it a symbiote? Why is that the word we're using? It's one of those things where it's like Marvel doesn't do anything on accident. So using that word symbiote kind of has a different connotation when we talk Marvel. So I think that's why people were a little upset. But we find out that this force, this god of light, that's used by Silver Surfer in this image. Oh, I see. You are not here for me. Go then. Go and find your warrior. So Silver Surfer's been traveling with the God of Light, and the God of Light kind of comes out and basically shows, you did what you need to do for me, Surfer. You were my herald. Let's call it what it is. Silver Surfer was a herald for the God of Light, just like he was everything else that he ever was. He was a herald of Null, a herald of Ego, a herald of Galactus. Like, guys, this is just a recurring thing. Why are we not used to it? We knew that Silver Surfer wasn't going to be the God of Light because he said it in issue 3 that he wasn't. He was just the bringer, the bridge that the God of Light was using. We didn't know to this extent where he was literally, the God of Light was inside of him. But we find out that Reed Richards kind of recognizes this. And he says, oh my God, Gene, these readings, this energy source, you're right. It behaves just like a symbiote. It always has. This God of Light, I know what it is. We all do. We've just been calling it by the wrong name. Captain Universe. So obviously Spider-Man's been Captain Universe before. We've seen different versions of Captain Universe, and we've seen different versions of this. Finally, the Enigma Force solved. And that's kind of the issue that some people had with this. I know Mark from Legion of Comics, we were talking about it earlier. And yes, it's kind of messed up the way that Kate's handled this. I would have liked to see it handled differently. I kind of wish that something bigger was coming, something more. I don't think that Cates has truly dropped the ball, but also he is kind of known, and sadly known, for being that failure to finish kind of story. And it sucks because the story isn't over, but we deserve that for there to be new content. We want new content. We want to have more. So I'll just kind of read what Mark and JC and I were talking about on Instagram earlier. So Mark said the story was over. There's been zero new content really since issue 1. Now it's just random filler fighting, but obviously all 3 of us are enjoying the ride. Everyone who's read King in Black has enjoyed the ride. I haven't met anyone who isn't a fan of the comics. They're not so much a fan of the story and where it's gone. They would have liked to see it go different places. And honestly, it's a book that, even though it's kind of like you took it the wrong direction, I'm still going to buy it at the end of the day. Truly, I'm still going to pick up issue number 5. I'm still going to read it. It's not a failure in the way that what was it? Empire was. My God, that was just horrible to read. But honestly, this minor little retcon, I don't think is the biggest issue I have with King in Black number 4. I think that there's a few other issues with it, but I like where they took the book. I like that they're going to do something different. I think that this is going to change Eddie Brock for forever. I don't think that we're ever going to see Eddie Brock in the same way again. I think Venom 200 is going to be totally different. I think that all in all, and sorry, I'm saying I think a lot. I truly believe that there's going to be something major that happens. It would be interesting to see Dylan become the new Venom and Eddie become the new overseer of everything that happens.
I genuinely think that's the kind of thing that we're going to see with all of this. It will be interesting to see where they take Venom 200. Currently, after Venom 33, we're only 2 issues away. This is legacy number 198. That's just where we're at. I mean, it's all kind of coming together. It's all interesting as the tie-ins are interesting. Savage Avengers and Miles Morales Spider-Man tie-ins came out this week too. They were good reads. I'm not going to talk about them, but I also think that, yes, they made a Captain Universe reference, but there's 2 Spec books I think everyone should go look up. You might already have them. They came out in 2018. The Enigma Force should have chosen someone different. I would agree, but we knew from the beginning this is a Venom book. This is a Venom-based story, something we haven't seen much of ever. I want to see what they do with the Enigma Force, the Captain Universe Force, the God of Light. I want to see where they go. And if this is a symbiote and Null's a symbiote, Cameron, does that mean that the darkness was created by the Black Winter? And that Null is a symbiote of the god of the Black Winter, the god of darkness? Professor, who would you prefer to see chosen? I agree with that statement. I don't know who I would have preferred. I honestly thought when I first started reading it, just based on all of this, guys, and one quick thing, this Peach Momoko artwork at the back is fire. It's the prelude to Demon Days. It's beautiful. I am so glad that Marvel picked up her as a artist. When I first saw this, I honestly thought that it was going to be Reed Richards. The way that they played this, even with Eddie Brock in the background, I wasn't quite sure what they were going to do with the Enigma Force. I thought it was going to be kind of Illuminati driven. Professor, I would disagree only in the sense that you don't have to be worthy to have the Enigma Force. It's not like Mjolnir, and I know that's not what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is the change that's happened in Eddie from when he first became Venom to now, everyone around him has seen it. And I want to go back to Venom 33 to talk about this, because we see that with Anti-Venom, with Flash. And Flash says, when he found you, he was looking for me to go and free the symbiote soldiers. Not that part. Sorry, I'm just making sure that I read this. You're storming the gates of hell to save the world and rescue your son. You're a hero, Eddie. Make no mistake, you're Venom. Now let me be a soldier. I think this panel right here is the reason why the God of Light, the Enigma Force, shows Eddie. He has changed so much, and he's also been taken over by a symbiote before. He's been in a state where he can kind of go through that and do more with it. So maybe it just chose him because he's the only chance they have at defeating Null for some reason. I don't think it's that Eddie's the only chance. I think that Eddie is the one who knows how to become something so much bigger than just Venom. Eddie has seen the light, no pun intended, maybe pun intended, in a way that no other symbiote holder has seen. he's kind of changed over the years. We never saw that change with Cletus Cassidy. We never were going to. We're not really going to see that change with Venom. We're not going to see that happen to Flash Gordon now, because obviously Anti-Venom is, as far as we know, gone. He sacrificed himself and became a soldier to basically destroy, to give Eddie a chance to get out of everything. And honestly, I think that Eddie's the perfect choice. I genuinely believe that Eddie's not going to be the next Captain Universe. I think this Enigma Force is going to be something totally different that Donny Cates uses. To me, this whole series has been the development of Eddie and him becoming the hero rather than the anti-hero or villain. That's what I'm trying to say, Cameron. That was the best way to possibly put that. The character development in this has been phenomenal. So it only makes sense that he's chosen rather than someone else. They could have chosen Dylan. That's the only other person that I would have seen, is Dylan becoming the new, taking on the Enigma Force. He's not strong enough, though. Reed Richards, I thought there was going to be something with the Illuminati with this, because we've seen the Illuminati. It hasn't been mentioned, but we've seen the Illuminati kind of in this book the whole entire time. Charles Xavier has been a major role. Namor's been a major role in this. Doctor Strange has been a pretty big role. We've seen him in the Black Cat series. We've seen Reed Richards in almost every single King in Black issue. We've seen Iron Man in almost every single King in Black issue. I genuinely thought that they were going to do something with the Illuminati where one of them would gain that power, because we saw Iron Man get the power to take over that Celestial using Extremis and the symbiote. I didn't think it was going to be him, though. Let me just say that. We saw something just with pretty much everyone. I mean, even in this book, we see Namor, and Namor looks so amazing, like just ready for anything right here. This little cameo of him is phenomenal. He's ready to just use the Black Tide to take on whoever he needs to. And he's even saying it's about time. So, I mean, he's ready. It's just, to not give it to Eddie would be doing a disservice to the Venom comics. Venom needs and deserves to be something on par and so much bigger than it's ever been, because Donny Cates has set up a cosmic realm for Venom to succeed. So while in some sense I would agree that this hasn't really brought about anything new, I don't think it needed to. I don't think that King in Black needed to be this game-changing comic that brought about a new hero or a new idea. I don't like so much what they did with Captain Universe. There is 2 spec books, like I've been saying, that you definitely should look into, that I've heard are spec for this. And I'm actually trying to get my hands on, because I want to read them personally. It's Sentry number 4 and number 5. They're from the 2018 run of Sentry. And it's when Sentry first bonded with the Void, or the current Sentry that we saw get torn apart in King in Black 1. When he first bonded with the Void. And that kind of was the Enigma Force, is what I've been hearing. With all of that said, it's kind of interesting the way that they've played this off of each other. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving you guys the right information on that spec. So the other one, Captain Universe, Marvel Spotlight, Volume 2, number 9 from 1980. a portable superhero identity of Captain Universe, which could jump from one person to another to fight evil, and was titled The Mystery of Mr. E. And we've actually seen Mr. E in Symbiote Spider-Man. That's another clue and another thing that I didn't think of until right now of why this makes sense that it was Captain Universe. That's one of those things that's been kind of interesting and in the back of a lot of people's heads is we're talking about the 80s with Symbiote Spider-Man. Mr. E was there. It kind of all makes sense. Genuinely. I'm trying to find... So originally called the Unipower. That's what I was trying to think of was what it was called originally. Did you see the Thunderbolts comic where they retrieve Sentry's body? I want to say that that's Thunderbolts number 2, right, Professor? I want to say it's the second Thunderbolts. Yes. Thunderbolts number 2, where they rip Sentry, where they find Sentry's body, and they go, "You can't warn a brother. Guy's got a lot of energy inside him still. That's going to be an awfully big explosion. How are we going to survive that?" We're just going to blow him up and take out the bad guy. And issue 3, S for Sentry, with a giant explosion. Honestly, I don't know that we're going to see as much going on with Thunderbolts 2. I personally haven't read it. I literally just jumped to the end to see what you were talking about. And like I said, these are the 2, or no, this actually came out last week, issue number 2. Like I said, I've got a stack of reading to get done. A lot of it's the King of Black tie-in, so I've got Spider-Man and Savage Avengers from this week, Black Panther and Thunderbolts 2 from last week. I want to reread Eternals 2, and then I need to read, actually, Amazing Spider-Man 59, because I haven't had the chance to read that yet. I don't know. I read the Valkyrie tie-ins with Sentry Soul and Jane Foster. Cameron, yeah, I've been reading that one too, and that one's been very interesting. I like what they're doing with that. I like where that one's going. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue that later on. So I see that some new people just joined us. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not already. We are getting close to our 300 subscriber giveaway. 400 subscriber giveaway. 300 subscriber giveaway we already did. That stuff is going in the mail very, very soon with all the snowstorms and stuff. I didn't want to put anything in the mail yet because there's just been so much going on. And I also wanted to make sure I had enough to mail out. I know, Professor, you're waiting on a pop, and I think Passpoint is waiting on a book from me. So, guys, I know that you guys are waiting. I'm trying to get them out as quickly as possible. But again, with everything that's been going on weather-wise and all the delays and whatnot, I don't want to send something out, it get lost, and you guys lose out. That's never my intention. So, as always, bear with me. They will get sent to you. Professor, enjoy your next class. Have a great rest of your day, buddy. Stronghold, there's so much to try and keep up with. I'm glad there are channels like yours that help with that. Dude, this is what I try to do. I want to talk more with you guys. I want to talk more in person on here. And I'm hoping that after COVID, I can actually get together with some people locally and have conversations. I know that right now it's kind of hard because obviously it's one of those things that's just not conducive right now. I always love talking comics with people. I literally spend hours in my local comic shop to pick up 4 books simply because I end up buying more. But genuinely because the owner there's phenomenal. Chet is an awesome guy. Shameless plug, real quick, without any context. Rhinos Comics, my local comic shop. Go check them out on Instagram, Facebook, and they have awesome auctions, and just genuinely, you want to know about an awesome comic, lover of comics, Chet's your guy. Ken Wheaton is phenomenal. I talk to him all the time when I'm there. Same with Mike. You guys truly have gotten me into comics, but also just made me love them too. It's been an amazing ride learning about comics. Genuinely, it's so cool to see older collectors bonding with younger collectors, and at Rhinos, that's what happens. With all that being said, I'm pretty much done for today. I've talked about King in Black until I'm blue in the face. Where does this go from here? So this was the other side of all of this. After the God of Light came and after it took over Eddie, what is going to happen next? So we still have Venom 34 to come out. We are not going to see anything else. I'm pretty sure I just put that. Darn it, I did. We're not going to see pretty much anything else until after Venom 34. King in Black issue number 5 will be coming out, I want to say April. Yeah. Or sorry, end of March. We're a month away from King in Black number 5. There is so much more to come out. Between then and now, we have Planet of the Symbiotes number 2, which already came out, obviously. That's same week. Also this week was Savage Avengers 18 and Miles Morales Spider-Man 23. There's also Captain America number 1. There's going to be Black Cat number 3, King of Black Namor number 4, Symbiote Spider-Man King of Black number 4, and King of Black Return of the Valkyries number 3. And that's just February. March, we're going to see Venom 34. We're going to see so much more happening in the comics just because it's amazing. Thank you, Stronghold. Glad you tuned in with us. We will definitely talk more soon. If you ever want to join us live, you are more than welcome to come join us and talk comics. I talk about just about anything. Even if I haven't read it, I love to hear other people's ideas and convince me to read something. That's what this is all about. It's about sharing our passion for comics, getting each other involved in reading each other's comics that we enjoy. And that's something that I try to do. One of the comics that I've read that honestly no one else has really said is phenomenal that I haven't heard much about is Crossover issue 3. It's one of those books that are just, it's really cool. It's really interesting. I love the little callbacks and whatnot. I love the artistry, the different styles in one. It's going to be one of those books that I keep in my personal collection for a long time because it's going to be one of those ones that I want to go back to and reread what it was all about. With all that being said, as always, subscribe, enjoy our channel more. Next week, we will not be doing 3 live streams a week, but we will get back to our amazing content on Friday nights. I'm probably going to push it back to 10 or 11 p.m. On Fridays just to kind of get more people from all across the U.S. I know that a lot of us have kids, so I want to make sure that even if you're out in California, like I know Professor Comics is, we're able to kind of talk about these comics more and more. And Stronghold, message me. Let's talk. I'll even add you to our Comics Lounge conversation on Instagram. It's a little group chat. So excited to have you here today. So excited to have you, Cameron. Professor, thank you for joining us. I know that you're in your next class. And to everyone else who joined us, thank you for lounging with us. Have a great rest of your day, and make sure to check out our 400 subscriber giveaway. I've already put 3 books in here. I'm adding one more right now, Planet Symbiotes issue 1 that I talked about earlier. And you know what? Pull my leg. OMAC issue book 1 of 4. It's another DC comic that's going in there too. So we're up to right now, as it stands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. So as I said, you'll find out more tomorrow on Saturday about all the books that are going to be involved in that giveaway. But there might be more, there might be less. There won't be less. There might be different ones than what I show you, just because I don't want to give anything away, and I also want it to still be a mystery for people. Stronghold, keeping digging crossover. We can talk about that more. I don't know when crossover 4 is coming out, but I'm definitely excited for it. As always, as I said, thank you for lounging with us. Have a great day.
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Earth's mightiest heroes.
I have an army.
We have a Hulk.
Have a great day, everyone. Catch you soon.